Welcome, adventurers. What's going on, guys? My name is Cody, and this is Taking 20, a channel about all things role-playing games. And today, of course, we're talking about some DM tools and really some tricks as well that you guys can use, some things that I specifically use in my games that I have found very helpful for running games and campaigns. Let's jump into it. Okay, guys, so the first tool that I have available for you guys is Microsoft OneNote. Now, I am a huge fan of Microsoft OneNote for managing a campaign and specifically for world building. So what you guys are looking at here is a OneNote that I just started. It doesn't have a lot of stuff in it quite yet for my world of Essalus that I'm using in my Saber Dice campaign, which you guys can check out in the links down below. And by the way, all of the tools I'm going to be talking about are going to be in the description box below, so be sure to check that out, and I'll put links to absolutely everything down there. So one of the reasons I like this is because this right now is actually a free tool. It used to be OneNote used to be where you had to actually buy it and pay for it as part of Office, but now Microsoft offers a basic free version that doesn't have quite all the bells and whistles, but for what we're going to be using it for as a Dungeon Master, honestly, I really can't think of any features that you might need that isn't already included in the free version. So one of the great things about this is that you can customize it to work the way that you want it. In essence, you basically have these tabs up here, and then down here at the bottom, you can have additional pages, and you can even link pages underneath of pages and stuff like that. And everything that you put in this OneNote, in your OneNote, can link back to other pages for quicker browsing as you are building out your campaign and kind of creating this cross-linking between all of these pages and assets. So what you guys are seeing here is kind of my history of the gods. And what you can do is down here we have Vedia, right? I've got just a couple of notes about Vedia. And by the way, real quick, as you guys can see over here, one of the features that I do like about it while I think about it is that you can type wherever you want here on the page. So that's another thing that I really like about OneNote is you can kind of just block out everything that you like. So what we can do is we can come over here and we can copy the link to the page, come back over here to History of the Gods. We can find another thing of Vedia, and you basically just highlight that, highlight Vedia, and come over here to Insert, add a link, and paste this in. Hit OK, and now you've created a link here very quickly. So whenever I click that, it takes me right back over to the page that that particular information is on. And again, you can use this however you like. So one of the things that I recommend to Dungeon Masters is persons, places, things, right? People, places, things. That is a great system here. So I have my players here. I have some notes on the backstory and the background that each of those players gave me. And as I kind of build out these additional NPCs, I can come over here to NPCs and start linking them in here. I have locations, so you've got a couple of cities and whatnot. And as you guys can see, I just drug a map right onto the field. And, you know, you can resize it, you can move it around. And so it's really, really versatile, especially if you wanted to, say, build out a dungeon with individual rooms. You could do that very, very easily. And then down here at Name Generator, I also wanted to show you that you guys can actually link externally with this particular tool as well. So if you have additional online tools, a lot of the tools I'm going to show you here in just a minute are actually pretty cool. You can just link to those as well, just like what we did up here with Vedia. There we go, with Vedia. And so I've got a name generator here. Boom, this will take me right over to Fantasy Names Generator. And this is a great tool. It's free, and I highly recommend it. It's one of my go-tos for world building and for building out my overall campaign arcs. Okay, so the next tool in my toolbox that I want to share with you guys is my Chessex mat. I've talked about this before on the channel in my Starfinder buyer guide. This is, in my opinion, my absolute #1 cannot live without tool. If you're running any type of home games, I highly recommend going out and picking up one of these Chessex mats. Let me make this a little bit bigger here so you guys can see it. So on one side, you've got your 1-inch squares, and on the back side, you actually have hexes. So if you're running a game like Starfinder, you plop this thing down, and you got your one side for all of your combat, and on the back side, you have your hexes for your starship combat. And it takes wet erase, not dry erase. And I cannot live without this thing. So in my own home game, I was originally, when I basically started my last campaign, I have a TV set up behind my table for my players to view, and I hooked up my laptop to it, boom, and I was using that behind me as a way to kind of project all of the battles. And you know, my players were into it. It was really cool because you could use all the virtual tabletop maps even in a home game. But I switched back over to this Chessex mat, and I just draw out as we go along. And I actually got to use all of my minis. I've got a huge minis collection, and so I was having a lot of fun using those, and it added a lot of just that kind of personal touch back to that home game, and it wouldn't be possible without this Chessex mat. So this is like $30–40. Okay, it's a little pricey. I'm gonna admit it's a little pricey. I've had this mat for I think almost 7 years now, 6–7 years, something like that. I think it may even be my second mat that I bought. I think I gave my first one away to my brother, and cannot recommend it enough. Highly recommend it. This is my #1 go-to tool, and I will be taking this with me to Gen Con. Just slide it right into my backpack, and the way I keep this thing rolled up is I just stole a couple of scrunchies from my wife, and you can just wrap those around the edge, and boom, there you go. One of the most wonderful tools that you can have as a Dungeon Master if you are running any type of home game at all. Highly recommend. Okay, guys, the next tool I have available for you, it makes me cringe with anger about how long I had to go without this particular little tool. It's so simple. It's so easy to do. And it has been such a tremendous time saver. I can't believe that nobody showed this to me before. I saw a guy use this at Gen Con last year. I don't remember who it was. If I did, I would credit them. But this is basically an initiative box. So if you guys have ever done initiative, which we all have, you know that you normally, whenever you're writing it down, it's like, okay, so we've got Torm over here, and then we've got Cade, okay, and then we've got whatever, Eurakis is over there, okay, great. And Torm, what did you roll? You rolled a 25, okay. So, you know, and you're kind of like write all these numbers down in this big long list over here on the side, and it takes a long time. You're kind of trying to remember everybody's character names. And it's just a garbage system. It's absolute garbage, right? Takes forever. Totally sucks. Which is why so many people try to come up with better initiative systems with like little tags and stuff. I love this initiative box. All you do is you draw out a little box and you literally look around the table left to right and you just point at people and have them read off your initiative. So you just look over here, okay, 12, 21, 14, 16. And then once you've done that and you got all your players, you roll for your NPCs or your monsters. You can just put that right inside the box. If you got a second one, go ahead and put that right down below that. And there you go. And the great thing about this is that while you're looking down at this quick little initiative box that took you no time to write out, you can look at the box, and based on the positioning, you can look up at the player and you know where you're going next. So we got 21 down to 17, 16, 15, 14, 12. And you can like literally look around the table. If you have 5 players, no problem. Add a 5th number, move these over a little bit. You got 6 players, no problem. Do 2 on each side. It doesn't matter. You literally just go left to right around the table. If you're running 8 players, you could still use this. And I love the initiative box. I cannot imagine using another initiative system. It is so simple and quick and time saving. I absolutely love it and recommend it. Okay, so before we continue, I want to give a huge shout out to our sponsor for this video, Miniature Market. If you guys have followed me for any length of time here on the channel, you know that I'm a huge advocate for Miniature Market, and I personally do all my shopping for RPG products over there. And so I was browsing around the other day, and I came across this product that they have called Tiny Terrain, and it looked really interesting to me. So I reached out to Miniature Market and said, hey, you guys send me like, you know, like $15 worth of these little products. I wanted to test them out, and they did. And so I absolutely love this stuff, right? Yes, it's a sponsored video, but I definitely thought that this fit very well with our Dungeon Master tools here that we're looking at. So in essence, at my home game, I just pull up my Chessex mat, and while I'm drawing things out, I just plop down some of these additional terrain pieces. And they're really cool. They come in a lot of different shapes. One of my favorite go-tos is actually the altar with these sort of like ruined columns that they have here to kind of create dungeons. I'm a big proponent of dungeons in Dungeons and Dragons, and so I have a lot of dungeon crawls in my games. I think it's a lot of fun for my players. And so these have been a huge success at my table. I know we've got some really great crafting channels here on YouTube, but I'm always short on time. And so what I like about these is they are very cheap. I've actually, since they sent me those, I actually ordered a whole bunch more. And one of the things I like about them is if you guys can hear that. They're really, really hard plastic, so you don't have to be gentle with them. You can kind of abuse them, and they work just fine. Plop them down on the table, boom, they're ready to go when you're done. I just throw them in a bag, and I just throw them back on top of my whole minis collection and don't even worry about it. They have been a major addition to my game, to my home game. I don't want to draw out crates all the time when I'm drawing out on my Chessex map. I don't want to draw out wells and stuff like that and altars and fences. And so I literally just grab these and kind of slap a few. Doesn't take a lot out on the field. And they've definitely added to the game, and I think my players really, really dig them. In addition to that, I think you guys can pick these up because I want to show you the pricing here. This is another big thing that I really like. $2, 75 cents, 75 cents, $1, $2 computer terminal if you're into Starfinder or other sci-fi games. $2.50 for these really large kind of see-through crystals, which I've got a blue one and a red one in here. And so big proponent of these things. I think for like 20, 25 bucks, you could just load up and boom, there you go. Quick, easy additions to your home game. And if you're into making your own additional kind of pieces like this, it's pretty hard to find to be able to make these at a better price than 75 cents. I know that there's, again, some great crafting channels, but I'm a big proponent of these things. So what I wanted to do, because we've had a huge influx of new subscribers, and Miniature Market didn't even do this, I'm just going to do this out of my own pocket. Let's do a giveaway. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take 25 bucks. We're going to run a contest. At the end of the week, we're going to choose a winner. I'm sorry, guys, in Brazil and Germany and South Africa and Japan. I know we get a lot of international viewers here on the channel, but because I'm going to pay for this out of my own pocket, I've got to keep this domestic. So what we'll do is we'll run this contest for a week. We'll choose a winner. And at the end, I'm just going to pick out $25 worth of stuff that I think is really cool, stuff that I use in my own home games. And I get to pick it out. That's part of the fun is I get to pick all the stuff out since I got to buy it. And yeah, we're going to give that product away. We'll just send it to a winner at the end of that contest. So thank you, Miniature Market, for sponsoring this, and definitely a pretty cool DM tool for you guys. Again, I will put a link down in the description below where you guys can go check this out. That link, of course, will be a referral link, by the way, guys, so it lets Miniature Market know that I sent you over. So if you're going to go check all these products out, I'd appreciate if you guys, use the link. So Tiny Terrain, pretty cool little DM tool, pretty affordable. All right, so let's jump back over to specifically Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition here. And here's a tool that I use all the time because, again, I do run a lot of dungeons, and I run fairly combat-heavy games in my home game for my players because they're newer players and they're just kind of really into that stuff. So I love Kobold Fight Club. This is basically it's just an encounter calculator. The way to calculate XP in 5e is a little wonky. This is a great way to do it. And you can basically just come over here, pick out something you like, add it in there. You set your players. So at this point, we got 4 players at level 5, and maybe somebody died and they had to roll up a new level 1 character. And you can go ahead and just add these up. It'll show you the total XP and the adjusted XP. And eventually, if you add enough of these things, it'll start to calculate. I guess guards are CR 1/8. Might need something else like a shield guardian, and you can see that immediately turns that deadly. I tell you what, let's give them an owlbear, because why not? Guards would have a trained owlbear. That's fun. And so 15 guards and 1 owlbear would actually calculate through 5e's rules as a hard difficulty for 4 level 5s and a 1 level 1, and it gives you the adjusted XP. You go through here, type in whatever you want, add up all the CRs. It's just a great, quick, and easy little tool, especially if you're preparing for the night and you're kind of laying out, okay, I want like 3 encounters. What would be some cool monsters to add that won't overbalance or won't underbalance for my players? And I love Kobold Fight Club. Really, really cool tool, really useful. I use it every week. Okay, so sticking with these kind of online tools here, another tool that I really like is Dungeon, right? We all get it. And yes, this does have specifically Dungeons and Dragons 5e stuff, but it also has stuff for D&D 4th edition or Pathfinder and D20 Fantasy, all that stuff. So what I really like about it is the random dungeon generator is kind of cool. This is pretty neat, and you can come in here and change the way it looks. You can add in rooms. Let's say room size. Let's make the room sizes a little bit bigger, and you can randomize it. There's just a whole lot of really cool, fun stuff that you can do. It actually has isometric as one of the things you can do there. But I really like this tool for two specific generators, and that is the Magic Shop generator and the Random Treasure generator. So what I really like about the Magic Shop is that you can come down here and change out the type. So say you have an armor, and based on how big the village is or the town is that your players are visiting, will actually increase or decrease the kind of type of items that are available in that specific shop. So huge fan. You have players all the time. If you have a wizard, hey, what scrolls do they have? Hey, what scrolls do they have? Well, okay, what are you in? You're in a hamlet. Okay, you're in a hamlet. They have one scroll. It's a spell. Excuse me. It's a sleep spell. Maybe you're in a large city. Okay, cool. Here you go. They've got Ray of Frost and Message and Blade Ward, and they've got a whole bunch of Wall of Force. They've got a whole bunch of extra different stuff in there. And this is a really useful tool for me. I love this particular tool. You can copy and paste it into OneNote, or you can just run it. If you're running on a virtual tabletop like Fantasy Grounds or Roll20, you can just slide over here and snag a quick little generate a quick little shop, or you can even print them out. So if you're running in a home game, just print out a couple of them, and whenever your players ask, you've got them ready to go. Another thing I like, of course, is the treasure generator. It can generate either individual treasure or treasure hoards. And so let's just do this here. And what I like about this is it generates additional stuff that to kind of add a little bit of that flavor in here. So we've got Necklace of Fireball, we've got a Potion of Heroism, we've got Jasper, which is worth 50 gold. And so it kind of gives you, it pulls up those tables really quick. And I really like the random generators for treasure specifically. But Don John has a ton of stuff: monster list, magic items, encounter size generator, much like Kobold Fight Club, initiative tracker. They've got a whole bunch of stuff for different game systems. Go check it out. Put a link down to it in the description below. Okay, so sticking with Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition, one thing that we all hate doing is trying to remember pricing or come up with pricing on the fly with how vague 5e is with this stuff. So there's a really cool PDF that I use a lot called Sane Magical Prices. Now, yes, it's not perfect, okay? Yes, it even breaks some of the rules that Wizards of the Coast set out in the books. And yeah, there's some things that, again, that I disagree with. But for the most part, I stick close to this. It has a lot of different prices for all those little magic items that we have to try to think of off the top of our head. Okay, what category is that? It's very rare. Okay, how much gold should that be? I love this. I love this tool. This is a fantastic, well put together PDF. I know that I want to say that this was put together on Reddit, and so that it had a bunch of people that helped stuff that they wanted to credit out for this. So there was a lot of input that went into it. Again, it's not perfect. Yes, there are critics of this thing out there. I still think it's a great tool. I use it in my games. I have no issues with it. So a big fan of Sane Magical Prices, and I will put a link to this down in the description below as well. All right, guys, and finally, the last couple of tools we have here are pyromancers.com and specifically Dungeon Painter Studio. Now, full disclosure, pyromancers.com has been a sponsor for me here on this channel on Taking 20, and they are also currently a sponsor on my Saber Dice YouTube channel. So full disclosure, they've been a sponsor, but I was making videos about pyromancers.com before they were a sponsor, which is actually how they reached out to me about doing some videos for them. So I've been a huge fan of pyromancers.com for a long time. And they have a really cool tool up here called Dungeon Painter. And this thing is rad. I've actually made a video about this before in my Roll20 Master Series, and I'll put a link to that up there in that little card up there if you want to check that out. And so what you can do is you kind of just come down here and you just paint a little section, come over here to walls, and you can do, let's do a big thick wall, and you kind of just draw this around here just like this, real nice and easy, and boom, there you go. You've got a custom room size just the way you want it. If you want to do a couple of rooms, no problem. You know, just keep drawing them out, and then you want your dungeon to go kind of like this, and then you want your dungeon to kind of go like this. Our thing is over the walls here, no problem. Just take your walls and pick it up and raise that layer and draw out the walls. Once you're done, you can export this to a PNG or JPEG. Now, one of the cool things about this tool is, first off, it's completely free, which is fantastic. But in addition to that, is I'm actually in that video that I mentioned, you can create your own tile sets. So if you're using a virtual tabletop of choice, you can create tile sets a lot like the ones that are available for sale on a lot of those websites. And so you can come in here and just make your those little ones. So it's like 5 squares by 5 squares, and maybe you make a cross, and then you make a round room, and then you make a square room, and you can kind of add them and plug them in to kind of puzzle out a dungeon or several encounters. And it's fantastic. It's very easy to use and very easy to do. And real quick, just because I want to show you guys this is pretty neat. One thing that I really like about this is for all you old school guys out there. You guys may you may go back in time a little bit here with this old school dungeon making, and this just warms my heart. Seriously, this is so cool. And you can come over here, pull out your objects. They've got all of these things, just like you guys remember from those old school maps. We've got secret doors and secret hallways we can do. You can also turn off stick to grid and turn this 90 degrees. If you want to put it like that, you can. They've got stairwells. Boom, boom, boom. Everything that you guys remember. So a lot of fun, super cool. I love pyromancers.com for the free version. Even if you want to use the free version, it's a great tool to use. Now let's talk about the paid version. Now the paid version is $15, and I am a huge fan of Dungeon Painter Studio as the product. First off, because I don't mind supporting pyromancers.com, and I always tell people, guys, it's $15. You can make infinite maps, super cool. You get a lot of additional features here, and to add a lot of depth to your maps. Now, one comment that I see a lot of people making about this is that it doesn't have a lot of built-in tile sets, and I would say that might be a fair criticism, but also a little bit unfair. And that's because the workshop is really where you're going to get a lot of those really cool tile sets. And so you can add those in pretty easily. Let's come over here to the community hub, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. Now on the community hub, let's go over here to the workshop. Let's look at the most popular tile sets. So this is really cool. These are basically completely free sets. All you have to do is just click on them and add them to your game. Once it's add them to your Dungeon Painter Studio game or program, and boom, they'll pop up. And these things are massive. Some of these packs have thousands of different things that you can add, and I really like the plants pack. Tots Complete Fantasy is another cool one. They've got a really neat one here for kind of doing like maps. So like if you maybe have an NPC that wants to hand your players a map, this is really cool. Or you can even just use it as a regular map. One thing that I love, that I absolutely love, is the Pokemon maps. These are so cool. And so they have all these additional things that you can make. Man, that just takes me back. So you can actually make your own custom Pokemon maps for or in Dungeon Painter Studio. And again, it's just that $14.99 for the original purchase. I think it's a very affordable tool. If you're looking for cheap tools, it's a one-time purchase. It is not a subscription. And again, full disclosure, they're currently a sponsor for us on Saber Dice. But been a huge fan of Dungeon Painter Studio for a long time. And just to show you guys one of the maps that I created recently, let me pull that up for you. So here you go. Here's one of the maps that I recently made for our Saber Dice campaign. I did this completely in Dungeon Painter Studio. Again, once you have it, all the workshop stuff is free. And I layered these out to create these hills and these environments. I added the shadowing and the drop shadows to the trees. I layered out all of my grass and my rocks and everything like that. And I really spent a long time brushing out individual layers. Well, not that long. I mean, honestly, it really wasn't that long. But brushing out different layers, that's a cool little trick for you guys. And by the way, I do have a video on using Dungeon Painter Studio, at least some of the basics for it. It's about 20 minutes long or so, and I'll put that up there as well. And so, yeah, love this tool. Here's a few different maps I've created just with Dungeon Painter Studio. And man, I think this thing just makes just beautiful maps. And so, yeah, there you go. There is what Dungeon Painter Studio is capable of. All right, guys, that is all of the DM tools that I have for you guys, DM tools and tricks. We talked about a lot of things. So let me know in the comments down below what tools you guys have. What did I not mention in this video? You know, I'm always interested in hearing what other people like to use, if maybe there's a tool that I haven't heard of before. And I'm sure everybody here watching this video will want to know that information as well. So I'm going to go ahead and put all of the links to these things down in the description below, including the giveaway. So don't forget to enter into that giveaway. And yeah, let us know what tools you guys like to use at your table. If this is your first time here and you love role-playing games as much as I do, I'd love to have you subscribe. Every week I put out videos on GM tips, player tips, tutorials, and more. So if that sounds like something you might be interested in, just hit that subscribe button down below and come join us. Thank you guys so much for watching. My name is Cody, and may your games be filled with awesome memories and even better friends. I'll catch you guys next time.
Yeah.